Hello and welcome to Martyn Lucas Investor. My name is Sensei and you are watching the Morning Forecast Show. Why has that moved? There we go. That's a bit better. Um, Thank you everyone for tuning in. I apologize for the timing. We had a washing machine issue today and there was a leak. So please accept my apologies. Let's go straight into this breaking news. We are on day 5 of the war. We do have Michael Burry talking directly to me, and we've got a piece on him. He did a 21-page document yesterday, which I've gone through and given you all the main facts. So we'll come on to that. But right now, we've got a Pentagon briefing, and this is breaking news. So we're going to go straight to that now. Here we go. Let's go straight to that news.
You see, we're just, I'm afraid, cutting away from you because we thought we saw Pete Hegseth arrive, although those podiums do look suspiciously empty. Let's just try it from another camera angle. There he is, different podium.
Winning decisively, devastatingly, and without mercy. Under the direct command of President Trump, the War Department unleashed this operation early Saturday morning, just 4 days ago, which means we need to remember two things. First, we are only 4 days into this. Metrics are shifting, dust is settling, and more forces are arriving. It's very early, and as President Trump has said, we will take all the time we need to make sure that we succeed. Second, we are only 4 days into this, and the results have been incredible. Historic, really. Only the United States of America could lead this, only us. But when you add the Israeli Defense Forces, a devastatingly capable force, the combination is sheer destruction for our radical Islamist Iranian adversaries. They are toast, and they know it. Or at least, soon enough, they will know it. And we have only just begun to hunt, dismantle, demoralize, destroy, and defeat their capabilities, just 4 days in. Starting last night and to be completed in a few days, in under a week, the two most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace. I hope all the folks watching understand what uncontested airspace and complete control means. It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base. We have only just begun to hunt, dismantle, demoralize, destroy, and defeat their capabilities, just 4 days in. Starting last night and to be completed in a few days, in under a week, the two most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace. I hope all the folks watching understand what uncontested airspace and complete control means. It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military, finding and fixing their leaders and their military leaders, flying over Tehran, flying over Iran, flying over their capital, flying over the IRGC, Iranian leaders.
Yes, this is only from moments ago. It is still running live. We are just a few minutes behind, but this is, yes, this is live. This is right now.
Every minute of every day until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it. B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets, death and destruction from the sky all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours truly. Our rules of engagement are bold, precise, and designed to unleash American power, not shackle it. This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it is not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be. Thus far, Operation Epic Fury has delivered twice the air power of shock and awe of Iraq in 2003, minus Paul Bremer and the nation building. The campaign has 7 times the intensity of Israel's previous operations against Iran during the 12-day war, 7 times. And as President Trump said, more and larger waves are coming. We are just getting started. We are accelerating, not decelerating. Iran's capabilities are evaporating by the hour, while American strength grows fiercer, smarter, and utterly dominant. More bombers and more fighters are arriving just today. And now, with complete control of the skies, we will be using 500-pound, 1,000-pound, and 2,000-pound GPS and laser-guided precision gravity bombs, of which we have a nearly unlimited stockpile. We used more exquisite standoff munitions at the start, but no longer need to. Our stockpiles of those, as well as Patriots, remains extremely strong. The enemy can no longer shoot the volume of missiles they once did, not even close. And the chairman will lay out some of those percentages. So our air defenses and that of our allies have plenty of runway. We can sustain this fight easily for as long as we need to. And as I said yesterday, we set the terms. Now, you may not see much of it because the IRGC shut off the internet to the entirety of the country. They blind their people on purpose, just like they kill their own on purpose. Much was made of the volume of missiles Iran was able to shoot in the first few days. And sadly, as we projected, a few got through and killed 6 of our best, who will hopefully arrive home soon. We will avenge them, no doubt. But I liken Iran's predicament to a football team who scripted the first 20 plays of a game. The team knew what plays to run because their first few drives were scripted. But now that the game has started and the blitz is on, they don't know what plays to call, let alone how to get in the huddle and call those plays. Iran's senior leaders are dead. The so-called governing council that might have selected a successor, dead, missing, or cowering in bunkers, too terrified to even occupy the same room. Senior generals, mid-level officers, enlisted ranks, they can't talk or communicate, let alone mount a coordinated and sustained offensive. That's not great for morale. The Iranian Air Force is no more, built for 1996, destroyed in 2026. The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated, pick your adjective. In fact, last night, we sunk their prize ship, the Soleimani. Looks like POTUS got him twice. Their Navy, not a factor. Pick your adjective, it is no more. In fact, yesterday, in the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II. Like in that war, back when we were still the War Department, we are fighting to win. Also, yesterday, the leader of the unit who attempted to assassinate President Trump has been hunted down and killed. Iran tried to kill President Trump, and President Trump got the last laugh. Now, this is not a mission accomplished situation. This is simply a reality check. The combination of U.S. and Israeli intelligence and combat power will control Iran, and will control it soon. Sure, Iran will still be able to shoot some missiles and still be able to launch one-way attack drones at civilian targets, and their proxies will attempt to attack our embassies, bases, and soft targets. They are terrorists, after all, and they need to target civilians because they can't fight toe-to-toe. But we will find them, and we will kill them. This is what the fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step. As I said Monday, the mission is laser focused. Obliterate Iran's missiles and drones and facilities that produce them, annihilate its navy and critical security infrastructure, and sever their pathway to nuclear weapons. Iran will never possess a nuclear bomb, not on our watch, not ever. And this is why President Trump's moral clarity on Iran today is so vital. Unlike the past, where vague red lines and endless negotiations let Iran fund terror and inch ever so slightly toward a bomb, this president sees the threat plainly and acts decisively. No more half measures, especially when Iran is at its weakest. No more letting Tehran play for time while our people pay the price. His leadership ensures that we finish what we start and that we protect our warfighters by crushing the enemy before they can strike again. Our offensive operations, refined through months of relentless preparation, are unstoppable. And our defensive efforts are unprecedented. We have from the start put the protection of our troops ahead of everything else. Before we very publicly built up offensive combat power, we quietly ensured that our defensive posture and power was in place. And as we built up offensive combat power, we moved the vast majority of American troops, over 90% of Americans that were on our bases, what we say off the X, out of the range of Iranian fire. Our defensive shield is equally formidable, the most sophisticated air and missile defense network ever fielded. Thousands of Iranian missiles and drones have been intercepted and vaporized. Tens of thousands of American and allied lives protected. We have pushed every counter-UAS system possible forward, sparing no expense or capability. And like I said, this does not mean we can stop everything, but we ensured that the maximum possible defense and maximum possible force protection was set up before we went on offense. In closing, as President Trump told German Chancellor Merz yesterday, Iran negotiated in bad faith, stalling, scheming, and preparing to strike. And we acted decisively to defend our people, our interests, and our allies. President Trump took bold action, putting America first, the kind of bold action that the American people elected him to execute. To our steadfast partner, Israel, your mission is being executed with unmatched skill and iron determination. Fighting shoulder to shoulder with such a capable ally is a true force multiplier and a breath of fresh air. We salute your courage and your contribution. 4 days in, we have only just begun to fight. America fights to win, and in Operation Epic Fury, we are. May God's providence cover and protect our troops always. And with that, I turn it over to the chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm here today to provide the American people and those of you in this room an update on Operation Epic Fury. First, it's with profound sadness and gratitude that I share the names of 4 of our 6 fallen heroes, all from the 103rd Sustainment Command, U.S. Army Reserves out of Des Moines, Iowa. Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Noah Tegens, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore, and Sergeant Declan Cody. To the families of our fallen, we grieve with you today, and we look forward to welcoming your family members home at Dover in the coming days. Out of respect for the other families, we'll withhold the release of their names until next of kin notification is complete. And either myself or Admiral Cooper will release those names as soon as we can ensure that all of those families have been properly notified. To our Gold Star families, to our wounded warriors and their loved ones, we will never forget your sacrifice. Our nation stands with you, and we are eternally grateful for your courage, your resiliency, your devotion to this mission and to our nation. As the Secretary said, we're 4 days in, 103 hours into this campaign. The operation was again launched with clear military objectives designed to dismantle Iran's ability to project power outside of its borders, both today and in the future. First, we are targeting and eliminating Iran's ballistic missile systems to prevent them from threatening the U.S. Forces, partners, and interests in the region. Second, we are destroying the Iranian Navy, degrading its capacity, capability, and ability to conduct operations, not just in the Central Command AOR, but as the Secretary showed in the video, around the world. Third, we're ensuring Iran cannot rapidly rebuild or reconstitute its combat capability or combat power, and those phases will begin as the campaign continues. As of this morning, U.S. Central Command is making steady progress. Iran's theater ballistic missile shots fired are down 86% from the first day of fighting, with a 23% decrease just in the last 24 hours. And their one-way attack drone shots are down 73% from the opening days. This progress has allowed CENTCOM to establish localized air superiority across the southern flank of the Iranian coast and penetrate their defenses with overwhelming precision and firepower. We will now begin to expand inland, striking progressively deeper into Iranian territory and creating additional freedom of maneuver for U.S. forces. Let me explain a little bit about how we're thinking about staying ahead of the enemy. First, over the past several weeks, Admiral Cooper and the CENTCOM team have refined their operational approach to the region. Their planners identified key centers of gravity that would allow Iran to project power outside of its borders. They thought about how to isolate critical vulnerabilities and determined where, with precision, the greatest strategic effect could be achieved. As a result of this, CENTCOM is now shifting in day 4 already from large deliberate strike packages using standoff munitions at range outside an enemy's ability to shoot at us, now into stand-in precision strikes overhead Iran. As the Secretary said, this is a point of munitions.
This is happening literally minutes ago. We are watching it. We're a couple minutes behind, so if you're seeing it on a different screen, they're a couple minutes ahead, but we are covering this. Thank you for everyone tuning in. Please do hit the like button and subscribe. We will come on to Michael Burry in a second, but we are watching quite an incredible press conference here. A lot of people have very dividing views on this. We do have a poll running right now. Are you for or against this war?
Launch timelines and impose cost every day around the clock. I know there have been a lot of questions about munitions. We have sufficient precision munitions for the task at hand, both on the offense and defense. But I want to tell you, teammates, as a matter of practice, I don't want to be talking about quantities. And I know there's been a great debate about that, and I appreciate the interest, but just know that we consider that an operational security matter. Let me flip to the map here. Hopefully I don't kill anybody with a laser pointer.
Does it sound like they're running out?
As I mentioned earlier, and for you with the camera right there, my friend, I hope I don't ricochet off and hurt you. Over the initial days, the U.S. Joint Forces continued to attack and attrit ballistic missile capabilities as well as integrated air defense capabilities along the southern axis. Along the northern axis, Israel and the Israeli Air Force has predominantly been working integrated air defense targets along the northern flank, as well as medium-range ballistic missile capability as well. From the sea, the USS Ford has continued to project combat power here, as well as the bomber pulses that we talked about in the opening days of this briefing. Along the southern axis, the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group has continued to provide pressure from the sea along the southeastern side of the coast and has been attriting naval capability all along the strait and up into the Arabian Gulf at a size and scale sufficiently to address the targets required. To date, we've hit over 2,000 targets, as Admiral Cooper said in his video last night. We've destroyed more than 20 Iranian naval vessels, including, in addition to the frigate outside of the area, 1 submarine, and effectively neutralized at this point in time Iran's major naval presence in theater out there. As the Secretary showed the video, for the first time since 1945, a United States Navy fast attack submarine has sunk an enemy combatant ship using a single Mark IV 48 torpedo to achieve immediate effect, sending the warship to the bottom of the sea. I want to remind everybody that this is an incredible demonstration of America's global reach. To hunt, find, and kill an out-of-area deployer is something that only the United States can do at this type of scale. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, CENTCOM will continue to strike infrastructure and naval capability, and we'll continue to assess our progress against the military objectives. It does take time for us to collect that information and to assess en route. Much of our intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capability is currently hunting and killing ballistic missile launchers and one-way attack capability. We're precise in that assessment, and we call balls and strikes in that assessment. We take that matter seriously. Iran, on the other hand, has been indiscriminate and more imprecise in their attacks. They fired more than 500 ballistic missiles and more than 2,000 drones, striking innocent civilian targets throughout the region. Our partners are answering the call to defend themselves right alongside us. Jordan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Kuwait are all defending their people with their own combat capability, with precision and restraint. Jordanian air defense crews recently intercepted a cluster of Iranian one-way attack drones headed to Amman. Bahrain's air defense forces shot down an inbound drone approaching Manama's maritime infrastructure, protecting both their population and critical shipping lanes. Saudi Patriot battery stopped a salvo of ballistic missiles aimed at energy facilities near Dhahran. The UAE neutralized multiple drones targeting Abu Dhabi's industrial zone, demonstrating speed and precision. And Qatari fighters for the first time have shot down 2 Iranian bombers that were en route to their location. Together, these nations are helping to defend themselves and project power as required against the enemy. We're 100 hours in. It's still very early, as the Secretary said, but the balance is shifting. We've always got to remember that these operations are complex, dangerous, and far from over. Our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, and Coast Guardsmen remain in harm's way, and we must be clear-eyed that the risk is still high. This is combat. Let us never forget this. As we continue, I ask that we hold all of our deployed teammates in our thoughts, those standing the watch, flying the sorties, sustaining the fight, and carrying our nation's burden. And I'll stop where I started, and that's remembering our 6 fallen who will return home as soon as possible. I remain humbled, grateful, inspired by every day the valor and professionalism of our joint force. They are quiet professionals through and through, out there doing America's work through the day and through the darkness. And with that, I'll take your questions along with the Secretary.
Go ahead.
What do you assess the enemy's control and command status is right now? And can you broadly describe our decisive point in this operation?
Well, I won't describe the decisive point in the operation because that would tell the bad guys what it was.
That's a good question, though.
I appreciate the question. They're C2 structures in a bad way. Admiral Cooper's been continuing to pressure C2 at the IRGC C2 and other military elements, and will continue to do so. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Secretary Hegseth. Mary Margaret with the Daily Wire. A couple questions for you and then one for General Kane. Can you tell us more about how we took out the leader who was the leader of the group that was trying to assassinate President Trump? And then Turkey's defense ministry says NATO air defense systems intercepted an Iranian ballistic missile headed towards Turkish airspace. Could this trigger NATO's Article 5, and was it the U.S. who shot it down?
On the first question, we've known for a long time that Iran had intentions on trying to kill President Trump and or other U.S. Officials. And while that was not the focus of the effort by any stretch of the imagination, in fact, never raised by the president or anybody else, I ensured and others ensured that those who were responsible for that were eventually part of the target list. It wasn't the beginning of the effort. We were focused on missiles and launchers, and that's the focus. But ultimately, if we had the opportunity to get at those who are trying to get at Americans specifically, we would. And so we eventually had the opportunity to do that from the air. And then on the matter with Turkey, I'll have to get back to you on exactly what the intercept looked like at that. We're aware of that particular engagement, although no sense that it would trigger anything like Article 5. No. Tie right there. You got a tie?
Yeah. Thank you. Tom Bateman with the BBC. Can you give us an update on what the administration knows, what you know now about the reported strike on a girls' school in southern Iran on Saturday?
All I can say is that we're investigating that. We, of course, never target civilian targets, but we're taking a look and investigating that. Red tie in front.
They still don't have an answer for 200 school kids that they killed.
Ability to gather information. I mean, it's several would have your reconnaissance.
Getting that. Red tie in front.
Just on the basis that with the information you would have, your reconnaissance abilities, ability to gather information. I mean, it's several days on now. So is there any clarity on whose munition this was?
We're investigating it. Thank you.
Secretary, so there are reports that the administration is considering arming Iranian Kurdish groups. So could you please clarify that whether any such plan has been authorized and whether Congress or regional partners has been notified and consulted?
All I would say is none of our objectives are premised on the support or the arming of any particular force. So what other entities may be doing, we're aware of, but our objectives aren't centered on that. Green, right there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mike Lynn, Washington Times. Can you talk a little bit about the deconfliction process that's going on? You have two parallel operations, Epic Fury and Roaring Lion. How are you making sure they're not interfering with each other?
Sure, I'm happy to take that. Thank you for the question. We have liaison officers on both sides. There are U.S. CENTCOM teammates out in Israel, and there are Israeli Defense Force teammates at the relevant command and control nodes within the U.S. CENTCOM enterprise. Routinely, Admiral Cooper is talking to the IDF Chief of Defense, and I will occasionally speak to him through the arc of this. I've spoken to him a few times already. That allows us to coordinate, integrate, and synchronize activities while maintaining separate efforts.
And when I said a breath of fresh air, I really meant it. Usually it's us with some ancillary benefits from allies who are maybe willing but not as capable. When you have both the will and the capability of an ally that can really bring things to bear, we take certain targets, they take certain targets, and when you coordinate it, it has incredible effects. Right here.
Secretary Hegseth, with respect to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' statement that the Iran mission will end in failure, what kind of message does that send to our enemies, and what does it do to the motivation of our troops?
Well, I've been through that movie before with the Democrats rooting against the country. Our generation saw that in our battlefields. I think it's pretty unprecedented and unfortunate that it would occur 4 days in to an operation where, as the chairman laid out, America's best are operating in an incredibly challenging environment where they're having incredible success, but they're meeting a determined adversary. And he's been privy to briefs that we've provided. He knows how effective this has been. He's being disingenuous, which we're used to. Right here.
Thank you for taking my question. Heather Mullins, Lindell TV. One of the questions I have is just really regarding the intelligence that indicated that this was something the U.S. had to get involved with at the time that you guys did. We had Operation Midnight Hammer back in June. We obliterated their nuclear facilities. What was the intelligence that suggested that somehow they became a threat once again that required us to get involved with Operation Epic Fury?
I appreciate the question. The evidence in front of us since the 12-day war was that Iran had no intention of actually negotiating a nuclear deal that truly meant they did not have a pathway to the nuclear bomb. And they had a moment. Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, two of the best negotiators in the world, poured into that negotiation, giving them every single possible opportunity to release that ambition. And they didn't. And the intelligence that we saw they didn't intend to do it in good faith, that they had the intentions eventually to get to a place where they could have a conventional shield to block their nuclear capabilities, as I talked about yesterday. So I would separate the what from the when a little bit. The what is they've been killing Americans for 47 years. They have thousands of missiles pointed at us. They have ongoing nuclear ambitions, and they're at the weakest they've ever been. So the when became, in a particular, hey, what makes the most sense to do this to ensure that the narrow objectives we have of ensuring they never have a nuclear weapon have a maximum effect? Yes, right here.
Thank you, Secretary Hegseth. I had two questions. First, what is your message to Iran's allies, namely Russia and China, who have called for an immediate end to hostilities?
I don't have a message for them, and they're not really a factor here. And our issue is not with them. It's with the nuclear ambitions of Iran.
Absolutely. And are any so-called fully autonomous weapons or other AI tools being used in Operation Epic Fury?
We've got a lot of autonomous systems or systems that drones and others incorporated with smart AI aspects to them, but a lot of which I can't talk about here. Yeah. Yellow, right there. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. As you know, China is accusing the United States of invading in Iran, a sovereign nation, and North Korea, which cooperates with Iran on nuclear development, has declared its commitment to protecting Iran. What is the United States' strategic response to this? And I have a second one. How many allies join with the United States to fighting against Iran? Do you have any numbers?
Well, I think what you're seeing right now is a response in the region to the belligerence of Iran and the willingness of them to target civilian airports, civilian hotels, civilian locations, civilian oil infrastructure of their Gulf neighbors who would have preferred not to be in conflict, didn't want to, but now realize that this is something that has to be dealt with. So whether it's UAE or Qatar or Bahrain or Kuwait or Saudi, on different levels, they're reaching out to us, whether they're going on offense, which they are, whether they're giving us additional access, basing, and overflight. We're working very closely and collaborating with them. Also on air defenses. The air defense capabilities of those countries are significant, and when combined with ours and we coordinate, it brings simplicity to the shot doctrine, so we make sure we're using less munitions but being more effective with what we shoot at. And as it pertains to other countries, I'll sort of give the same question. They don't really bear on the case of Iran. We're going to deal with Iran's nuclear ambitions, and that'll send plenty of signals in the process. Right there. Purple.
Are you going to help get Americans out of the region? The military going to help? Secretary, I have two questions. One question for you and the other question for Mr. Chairman. You ruled out that you are not engaging with the Kurdish forces, Iranian Kurdish forces, to incursion from the Kurdistan region to Iran. But now and today, Iranian said that under threat in the Kurdistan region, they said clearly if there is an incursion from the Kurdistan region, they will attack all the Kurdistan region and go war with the Kurdistan region. What's your comment on that? And a question for Mr. Chairman, given comments that the U.S. forces might be deployed if necessary, under what specific conditions would you determine that deploying U.S. boots on the ground is necessary, and how would such a decision support and advance your stated strategic goals?
Well, I'm not going to comment on U.S. boots on the ground. I think that's a question for policymakers, and I don't make policy, I execute policy. I will say on the question in the back corner about helping Americans get out, first, it's a great opportunity to encourage everybody in the region to go to the State Department and register. Secretary Rubio's been trying to get that word out, and I'd ask you to help us with that, to have folks register. We've also opened up space available seats as C-17s and other airplanes come in to try to help folks get out. But that's really a State Department matter. But to answer your question, that's what we've been doing.
Absolutely. Last question right here.
Secretary Hegseth, thank you. Reagan Reese with the Daily Caller. You touched on this in your opening remarks, but I'm hoping you could expand on it a bit. It's been reported that Iran might be trying to outlast our ability to intercept their missiles. It sounds like you guys are saying they don't have the ability to do so. Is that the case? Can they outlast us in their ability to do that?
Iran cannot outlast us. We're going to ensure through violence of action and our offensive capabilities and our defensive capabilities, as I said, that we set the tone and the tempo of this fight. That's why stories and speculation about different things that try to make it look like we're limited in what we can do. The only limits we have in this is President Trump's desire to achieve specific effects on behalf of the American people. And that's why we don't talk about, you can say 4 weeks, but it could be 6, it could be 8, it could be 3. Ultimately, we set the pace and the tempo. The enemy is off balance, and we're going to keep them off balance. And we know their ability to shoot versus our ability to defend. That difference gets wider and wider every day. Our defense gets better. Their offense capabilities diminish. As we are going into ammunitions that we, as we said, have tens of thousands of and can drop unlimited supplies on with even more effects than the standoff emissions we have now, which is why when we say the throttle's going up, the throttle's going up, and it's going to stay on high. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
So there, Pete Hegseth, the US Secretary of War, giving a briefing at the Pentagon alongside General Dan Kane, who gave us more specific details about the actual operation. Hegseth talking about Iran, saying they are toast and they know it. We are playing for keeps. Iran's senior leaders are dead, the governing council is dead, senior generals can't talk, let alone mount an offensive. Also talking about how the Iranian Air Force is gone and the Iranian Navy sunk. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step, according to Pete Hegseth. Let's bring in our US correspondent, David Blevins, in Washington for us.
Okay, there it is. Someone asked me to pull up the Economist magazine from, was it 1988 or something, and get ready for a world currency. There it is. Okay, so let me take that off. There was a press conference. Again, no end goal, no real reasoning why they got involved in this war. They cited negotiations that were failing, although the mediators of the negotiations, plus both sides of Steve Witkoff from the US and the Iranian negotiators, both cited great progress, similar to how the last war began. No answers yet for the family of those 150 plus children in Iran that were targeted. No real no answers about boots on the ground. Lots of uncertainty. They did tell us that there's going to be a bigger barrage coming, and potential concerns about US stockpiles for missiles. We did see that Mobic still yesterday. Take from that what you will. So let's see, a lot of criticism from Trump now building in this midterm year. Where are the Epstein files? Why did we start a war, even though you ran on not starting a war? Even people that, no matter what Trump would say, they would still be on his side, are now questioning things. So this is definitely unprecedented times. We've got a poll running. Are you for or against this war? And this is very surprising, because we normally have again, not a political channel, but I would say we are heavily leaning towards a Republican channel here, because it's the stock market. And those two things sort of go hand in hand most of the time anyway. And it's normally, I would say, about 70-30. So there's a lot of Republicans that are also, from this poll, from the 221 votes, that are actually not for this vote, but still Republican. And that's fine. Again, we're not here as a political channel. We're not here to say, let's bash Trump, let's bash Biden. Everyone can have their opinions. Everyone can say what they like. But at the end of the day, it is what's good for the American people and what's good for the people around the world. And peace is always the best option. War causes inflation. That affects people. We want to know what's happened with the Epstein files. We deserve to know all around the world what was going on with all these elites around the world. And those things are not happening. Okay, let's go on to what we're here for, which is Michael Burry and his predictions for the market. Let's have a look through all these. Ripple 2018, what happened? Great question. No exit plan. Yep, no exit. Sensei, thank you for the great newsletter. Thank you very much. I'm going to give you the link. Anyone who hasn't got the newsletter can get the news every single day. Who is truly killing the other? Who is truly killing the other guy? Just feeding lies. All get involved. China is ready too. Greece sent yesterday to Greek side of Cyprus help cause of the hits to UK stations. Yes. Good morning, Sense in the chat. Sorry, Sensei, they don't care about children. Are you talking about Israel? Again, there was a lot on the news yesterday about what Marco Rubio said about they started this war because Israel wanted to start the war and they wanted to back them up. And then I think Marco Rubio went back on that yesterday. So yeah, we've seen what happened to, again, we're not getting into politics of it, but we can see the facts. We can see what happened to Palestine and Gaza completely flattened and how many kids died there. So yeah, I mean, you can make the argument that people don't care about children, which is crazy. Peace through strength isn't peace, says Bebop. Hit the like button, says Marsha. You asked the question, Sensei. What's your opinion? Am I for or against this war? That's it's hard, because obviously I don't want to. This isn't a show about my opinion. I just want to give facts. But if you want to know my opinion, I would say I would be against any war. I am very much a person who always wants. I think there's always a solution through talking. I think you can always find a solution through negotiations. I think there's always a middle ground of people. So that's the type of person I am. I always believe there is a way through diplomacy and negotiations. I think it's very dangerous if every time you can't agree on something, the answer is fighting and war. I think that's a not a great precedent. So for me, I'm always against wars. So yeah, I would be against this war, not only for that, but also for, that's the main reason, also all the ramifications, also the amount of money being spent, also people dying, children dying. It's just, I don't think it's acceptable in any way. Also inflation, consumers, interest rates, mortgages, it affects everyone around the world. Anyway, wrong answer. Half your numbers will unsubscribe. No, it's not even about that. I'm sure everyone sees through it. It's just my opinion. Everyone has their opinion. Someone else can come on and say, we need the war because we can't deal with terrorists and terrorists are going to kill us anyway, or whatever. There's arguments for and against. I've just given my opinion. And again, we're not here to really talk about the political side of things. I don't think anyone will unsubscribe because of my answer, because everyone's entitled to their opinion. And as soon as we're not entitled to our own opinion, then there is no freedom of speech. And that's ridiculous. So anyone for freedom of speech doesn't mind what I say at the end of the day. It's just my... Dawson says that's a very naive answer, and that's fine. You can have your opinion. I don't mind. Let me bring on the main news. Anyway, I don't really give my opinion too much. I want to focus on facts, which is what we're doing here in the market. So one final look at the chat. Peace in this economy, says General Dictator. I mean, yeah. I mean, and paedophiles sometimes need to be charged, right? It's time. Epstein files, yeah, everyone's still talking about that. I mean, half the files aren't out yet. Buffett index 215% ish. Have you asked AI who will win this war? More monkey business. No, I haven't. I mean, it'll be crazy to think Iran could win this war when there is, what was it, 11 countries versus one. The pen is mightier than the sword, says Tidy Big Dog. I believe that, yeah. And you can laugh at me if you think my opinion's not valid, but I'm just saying the pen, Tidy Big Dog said it much better, the pen is mightier than the sword. Each their own, guys. Sensei, have you looked at what happened to 1988 Economist article predicted that the world currency will be called? It's very suiting. I've seen the headline. What does it say it's called? I've literally got it here. What does it say it's called? Phoenix standing on burning money, 2018 points, get ready for the world currency. No, what does it say? Is there something about Stellar or something like that? Or nobody likes war, but when you have all the threats all the time from a certain country, then you got to take actions. And this is why I support it 100%, says Alpha. Entitled to your opinion, of course. Is your family safe, Sensei? There's no way of knowing because of the blackout. Okay, let's get into it. More morning forecast Wednesday, the 4th of March. Today's top stories at a glance. Khamenei dead after Israeli strikes. Trump poses Gulf insurance plan. Japan faces energy inflation bind. Defense microcap surges on orders. Bitcoin reclaims the $71,000 mark. South Korea's stocks suffer record crash. Burry warns of structural market reset. Let me just check this quickly. Oh, Martyn's calling in. Let me see. Oh. Let me see. How do I bring this on the screen? Window, interview. Where's the interview screen on? It's on now. I don't see Martyn calling in. Let me go to the interview screen. I think Martyn's calling in, but we're just waiting to see if that comes in. I don't see anything on my screen just yet. Anyway, let's continue until Martyn comes on the show. So yeah, South Korea stocks. Oh, there we go. There we go. We have got Martyn now. So let me bring Martyn onto the show. Martyn, let me bring you on. I need to sort that out so it goes straight to you. There we go. Martyn, welcome on to the Morning Forecast show.
Thank you very much, Sensei, for having me. Great show this morning. Lots of information coming up shortly after Sensei's show. So probably in about 20 minutes time, something like that. I've got a special show for you showing you how and how you can win and maximize your gains on this market right now. I've been up all night. Those of you that were on Discord and Electrum will know I've barely had an hour's sleep. I've been up all night trading, and I've had a swing trade of $8,500 throughout the night. And I've got the stocks and the businesses that are least affected by war, least or benefit from war, if you like, least affected by inflation and oil. So I'm going to bring that to you this morning with a special report. All the key metrics to look for, all the chart metrics to look for. We've got a coiled spring at the moment. I know, Sensei, you're talking at the moment about Michael Burry expecting it to crash, but before the crash, I'm expecting a massive pump. I've also been up during the night, as I was yesterday, raising more funds to liquidate assets around the world that I have access to bring more money in to buy more. And the Bank of America money I talked about yesterday is now in, Sensei. You'll be glad to know that gamble paid off. It was literally down to the millisecond. Both entries went in and out at the same time, and it cleared. So that's all good. I'll explain more about that in the show this morning. But massive amounts of opportunity this morning. But I will also comment to what I just heard, Sensei, because obviously, you know, you're my friend and you are from Iran. You know, wars are never good. They may be necessary or they may not be. We won't, and that's politics. If you think that you are under threat and there's terrorism, you should probably go after it. But what I didn't like this morning was the way Hesketh spoke. We are talking about people dying, as you mentioned. 150 children, young schoolgirls were killed, and to make it sound like it's a Hollywood movie, and this is Rambo and Terminator blowing everyone's heads off, and total arrogance of we've got more bombs than anybody else. I think a bit of decorum and a bit of class it serves better. I mean, you can be strong and you can be defiant and you can say we are in control because you want to intimidate. I understand you want to intimidate your aggressor and your terrorist you're going after. But remember, just a moment, that if they are terrorists, and I'm sure they, I'm sure they are. We all know what the Iranian regime has done. It's killed its own people. We know that. However, if you are a terrorist and you are a bad person, you're not put off by someone saying we're going to blow you up and stuff like that, because they don't think like that. The rest of the world is who you're speaking to, and your people at home as well. And I think, I mean, I may be wrong. This is only my opinion, but I would have thought that you would serve the global audience better by showing strength, but also showing a little bit of class and a little bit of control. It sounded to me like Hesketh is just getting off on it. I mean, it literally sounds like he's just enjoying being the biggest bully in the playground. And I wonder how different it would be if you put him in the middle of the bombs and started throwing bombs at him, how he would feel and how he would talk then. But I don't know. I think there's something very special about power silent with respect. You know, same with the stock market. Today I've made a lot of money because a lot of people have lost money. And I always say, don't do the dance. Don't celebrate. Do what you need to do. Do what's right. Take action, but jumping up and down and celebrating and speaking like Rambo out of a Hollywood movie, I don't think that makes friends. I don't think anyone respects that. And it doesn't intimidate terrorists. They don't care whether you say you're going to blow their heads off or not. I mean, that stuff doesn't mean anything to them, and it just sounds ridiculous. I'd be interested to see in the chat how people feel towards that. And and before you respond, just take a moment to think. My friend here, Sensei, is from Iran. Sensei is a great person, a decent person. He has a family. He lives in England. He's a lovely guy, right? He's my best friend. And there are millions of people, I would imagine, in Iran that are decent people that just want to just be like the rest of us. Addressing the country in such a way, I just think is a bit unnecessary, and it shows lack of class, if you want my opinion. So just remember that your host here this morning is from Iran and has family in Iran. So if you agree with me that you can be strong, you can be in control, and you are in a war, so you want to be in control, and you want to you want to show strength, but you think it should be done with some class, some control, and not make it like a movie, put the number 1. Put the number 1. If, however, you think it should be done the way it was done, just like a Hollywood movie and as dramatic and as violent as possible, then say number 2. So if you think power and strength, but with some decorum and some class and some control, say 1. And if you think it should be delivered, like a Hollywood movie, then say the number 2. I'd be very interested to see how people feel. And again, remember, this is only my opinion, but I would be interested to see, because remember, at the end of the day, these may be bad people that America have decided to take out, and I can respect that if that is the truth, and most of us believe, and Sensei himself might say that. I'm sure he will. But talking in such a way when people are dying, innocent children are dying, and we're all being affected globally by it. Everyone is paying a price for this. I think it requires a little bit of, serenity, a little bit of what is the word? I'm trying to think what that word is as a word specifically. I can't think of what it is. But anyway, it looks like the overwhelming majority are saying 1. And remember, folks, as Sensei pointed out, we are a financial channel, not a political channel. And because of that, we have probably 60% Republican and 40% Democrat on this show, I would say. Slightly more, because we are a finance channel which does lean towards Republican slightly more. Not completely. We have lots of Democrats here that invest. I also, remember, I'm completely impartial. I am a green card holder. I don't vote. I've got no interest in voting. I'm simply delivering the news and the facts as we see them. But anyway, it looks like... we have some 1s, we have some 2s. Yeah, I guess the audience is split on this. Anyway, it's interesting. It just made me feel a bit uncomfortable. I just thought, what is going on? This doesn't sound very statesman-like, didn't sound presidential. Okay, he's not the president, but he represents the president. That's just my opinion anyway. But if you want to obviously have your country represented as that, then I guess you think it's great. I would prefer strong leadership without the total bloodbath type of conversation. Anyway, Sensei, would you want to comment to that? I know this is on your show. I'm on your show right now.
No, I agree. I think there just needs to be a degree of professionalism from these are the people that are telling us what's going on right now in the war. So it did seem like a Hollywood movie sort of thing. Some things were not backed up by facts. They didn't have an answer for the children that are being killed, and we don't know what's going on. And it felt like a Hollywood movie, as he's mentioned. So I would agree with you, but I also understand, as he said, why people want it to. I don't know why. I guess it's potentially the way that the current administration is very dramatic and making it seem bigger than it is, and maybe that's just their style. So again, I would agree with what you said, and how they should go about it, and the slight tone was a bit off on this press conference. But again, yeah, I would agree, and yeah, it's definitely a difficult situation.
Anyway, I mean, all of this speaks in though to the stock market. As I say, I've been up all night on the phone. Again, folks, I want to share with you. You may have noticed. I think it was at midnight and at 1 o'clock. I posted on Discord that we're about to get a bounce. I hope my Discordians can back that up and tell me that in the chat. I told you we were about to get a bounce, and it'd be quite dramatic, and it was very dramatic. Particularly, crypto bounced. people then falsely reported in Discord saying it's because Trump just announced or spoke about the Clarity Act. That was about 12 hours before we bounced. It wasn't that at all. It was something much, much, much more important, which I'm going to talk about on the show this morning. So again, my sources direct from the White House and Bank of America were spot on again this morning. It was at midnight. And then at 1 o'clock, I purchased some more Google, only a small amount at the time because I didn't have any more money, but I've got more money on the way. I'm trying to finance up to $1 million. I'm that bullish. That doesn't mean to say I'm bullish long term. Yes, seriously, Sensei, $1 million to add to the 700,000 that is now currently invested. That'd be 1.7 million. So yeah, I am very serious about that. It doesn't mean to say I am long-term bullish. I am bounce bullish. I am bullish perhaps till the end of March, but I'm going to explain all that to you today in my special show in about 35, 40 minutes because I haven't even set the event up yet. I've been researching all night. So I'll get back to that. Have a great show with Sensei. Sensei's now going to talk about Michael Burry, which will be very interesting as Sensei has spoken to Michael Burry directly. He has, remember, his award-winning newsletter, which is number 2 on the bestseller list. And Michael Burry is in that list, by the way. So you want to go and check out Sensei's newsletter. He's got the information today that I'm reading. I strongly recommend it. I use it all the time. But anyway, I wish everyone the very, very best. I got a really important show lined up for you. Join me for that. And it's Sensei is talking about showing you the news on Michael Burry. I'm going to be focusing on how you can win and how I am winning. I'll show you my current position. At the moment, this is no, it won't go on the screen. That doesn't matter. But yeah, I was up about $8,000 a few moments ago. It's just slightly off that at the moment. But anyway, very, very big night. And I'll share all those trades with you. Between now and then and in between the shows, go to Discord and you'll see it's important that you do see the trades and also see the moments I told you what was going on. And there's a phrase I'm going to use that may be inside what was said by Hesketh today. And that phrase is, buy the cannons, sell the trumpets. This is a banking phrase. And this was text to me at 1 o'clock this morning from my friend from Bank of America. Very often when I get messages, I get a one line. That's it. Sensei, have you heard the phrase, buy the cannons, sell the trumpets?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, more millionaires and billionaires are created, and there's a lot of evidence to support that Trump is doing this, drive the market down, buy it back up again, then take over oil. I think you mentioned it on your show yesterday. And then obviously, well, before then, Ukraine and Russia, how things changed there. And I think there's some real evidence to support this total control of oil and then have American supply oil. Have I frozen?
I think... Does YouTube Studio
We
just
buffered
gone
a
down?
bit. No, I think I'm back on. I think I'm back now, aren't I? I think it buffered for a second.
Okay, we're good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all buffered. Yeah, we're all good. It buffered for a second. Okay, great. So I'll leave you to Sensei's show. Great show, Sensei. Love to you and your family. I just feel that needs to be said. Guys, please be respectful. There was somebody yesterday who I actually banned from the show. He was a member, a paying member, and I banned him. I will not tolerate any unnecessary rudeness towards Sensei or anybody in the chat at this time, or any time for that matter. So please remember, I've got my teams back and I've got my members back as well. If we have any rudeness, then you're gone, whether you are a platinum investor or simply a guest of the show. Sensei, I'll hand it back to you. Have a great show, and I'll see you all in a bit. Take care, guys.
Thank you, Martyn. Okay, it's great to have Martyn on the show sharing his opinion. Again, anyone is free to say what they want. This is a financial channel, not a political channel, but it's hard at times like this. You have to talk about the politics a little bit. But yeah, everyone's free to say what they want. We just don't tolerate any real harsh rudeness between each other, inciting violence. Because we get to choose what we allow and don't allow, and there is the red line for us when you start inciting violence against each other. We've got a poll running right now. Let me know in the chat. I did say it was 70-30. Martyn suggested 60-40. Let's see what today's audience is, Republican or Democrat, which is very interesting right now. Please do vote. It takes a second, and then I'll come on to Michael Burry. Right now, it's 77% Republican, 22% Democrat, which is what I was alluding to earlier, which is many people are Republican, but they don't support the war. The previous poll we just had on was, do you support the war going on? 50% said yes. And, sorry, 51% of people said no, 49% said yes, they do. So essentially 50-50. So what we're seeing is potentially 30% of the Republicans are not in support of a war. I mean, it does make sense. A lot of people voted for no wars being started. That was one of the things Trump ran for. Anyway, it's time to get back into the financial side of the show. Let me quickly read through some comments. I know a lot came through. Some people here, most people agreed with what Martyn said. Some people, including our friend from Israel, Zach Zait, a very good friend of mine, a very good friend of the channel. He is originally from Israel, now living in the US. I think Zach Zait put number 2. Completely fine. Everyone has their own opinion. The point here is people have difference of opinion, but we can come together. And that's a great example is the show here. People are Republican, people are Democrat, people aren't from the US, people are left, people are right. We don't like the extreme left people and the extreme right people. But most people here, 99% of people, have differences of opinion on some things, but we all come together, and that's what's key. And I think if there was just a bit more of that in the world, it would be better. Not fair, people can't click Democrat because they have a finger disability, says take short action. Zach Zate's the man. Diesel, pump it up. Yeah, it looks like energy prices will be going up again. Another thing that Trump ran on was bringing the costs down to the American people. We're getting a bull trap for the next leg down, says Dan. We're going to get into the markets now. The cannons are defensive stocks, but the trumpets are what? Remember, Queen Esther saved the people of Persia from being annihilated. Queen Esther. Clicking Democrat means you have a mental disorder. Dan Ackerman, that is borderline timeout material. That is borderline timeout material, Dan Ackerman. I'll take it as if a light-hearted joke, Dan Ackerman, but please be careful because that's borderline. I don't even know. Maybe the mods might time you out for a comment like that. I don't know. What's your take on Frontline PLC, Sensei? I don't know what that is. Good morning, Bitcoin crash. No Bitcoin pump. We've got a breakout on our hands. Options are fine. Opinions are fine. Rudeness is definitely not necessary. Exactly. Neither. Quantum physics, quantum computers. Bitcoin crash. We're actually pumping right now. Let me just go through these comments quickly and then we'll come on to Michael Burry. Bitcoin crash. I am human. No, says Monkey More Business. Lol. Political affiliations are not beneficial. We love Sensei. Thanks. Take shot. Makes sense. Glad I'm not in them. LMT pumped yesterday. Neither R or D in Ireland. Yeah, Kurt. But I guess it really means that you're left or you're right. In all, if you break it down. So I'm sure everyone can vote from around the world. I'm going to close that poll in a second, so if everyone can vote, that'd be great. There was no choice for independent, says Dan. Yeah, there wasn't. I don't know why there wasn't, but I guess it's which if you had to choose one. Dawson, Sensei, don't mistake any hard talk about a hard and unfortunate topic as rudeness. It's just adults discussing, commenting on what you just showed us. Yeah, Dawson, I'm completely fine if someone says blow up the whole, maybe not blow up the whole country, but if someone says anything that's a right view or a comment that is not inciting violence to a specific person here on the chat, or if anyone's not being, I think this is the channel that bans the least amount of people. We have I think we've only banned someone that was impersonating Martyn, someone that what was the other thing? Oh, I can't. There was something else that someone said that we had to ban about inciting violence to a specific person. I think yesterday we timed someone out, or Martyn timed someone out. So we very rarely ban people, but when it's anyone can have an opinion. You can come on here and say you are the biggest Trump fan and you support every war going on and anything. That's fine. I might disagree with you. Someone might disagree with me. I might agree with you. So yeah, this is a place for everyone, whether you're Republican or Democrat. We come together for the market because at the end of the day, what everyone wants is the same. We all just want to live a nice life, have our family, take care of our children and family, and reach financial freedom. We all have the same goal at the end of the day. I am independent says I am Sensei is a top guy. I can't believe I walk alone. One, I would support the war if the claims are true. I just don't think there's a way of knowing if the claims are true, says Motto 18. That is very true. Motto 18, I would have to agree with you there. I mean, yes, that there is defensive measures in Iran. There is talks about they want to get to nuclear, but there is no hard evidence. We don't have the evidence of is there weapons of mass destruction like we once heard about Iraq. We don't have the hard evidence. No one's presented the evidence of this happening. It's just words at the end of the day. So I'm sure that stops a few people supporting the war as well. What was the evidence? Or is it like Marco Rubio said a couple of days ago, because Israel wants to go in, we had to back them up? I'm independent. You both have a class like Sir Anthony. Thank you, Martyn. Make Iran great again. Love it. I don't think Martyn is left wing. Did you listen to when Trump talked? He was a common sense person. But we have to know if we're making blood money, says Knocking Star. Yeah, I mean, everyone can apply certain things to their own portfolio. I personally, when I'm doing the portfolio challenge or investing my own money, I've got my own set of morals, and everyone does. And it's not wrong if you do or don't. I don't like to invest in gambling stocks. I don't like to invest in war stocks, and I don't like to invest in tobacco or alcohol, because I just personally think I am investing in people's death or devastation. So I just don't invest in them. Some people don't invest in the whole stock market. Some people don't like crypto. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But most of the stock market, I would say, is businesses trying to provide a good service, and that's why I like the stock market. I'm Republican. I'm against extreme Muslims, not regular Muslims, says David Hensley. I think everyone's against extreme anything. There's extremism everywhere. We've seen a lot of mass shootings in America done by extreme Christians. And I think everyone here should be against any sort of extremism. Hood is good, says Zach Zate. Where is the piss on them both throat? We love you, Sensei. Let me close that poll down now. I think we've got our answer. Republicans against Trump, says Marx. Yeah, there are Republicans against Trump. Martyn, or are you saying you're Republican against Trump? A person with common sense doesn't listen to any of them outside keeping up with the enemy. There are extremely good Muslims too, says Knocking Star. Yeah, I mean, it's the same for anyone. There's extremely good Christians. There's extremely bad Christians. There is extremely good English people. There's extremely bad English people. There's extremely good any race, any religion. It applies to anything. War is rude. Crypto Jab. David is a good extreme. Real Muslims follow the Quran to the letter. Regular Muslims who ignore certain texts like Christians do with the Old Testament. What was that? Well, let me see. We were referring to David. Referring to David. What did David say? Let me try and understand that. There is a good distinction. Real Muslims follow the Quran to the letter. Regular Muslims who ignore certain texts like Christians do with the Old Testament. Crypto Jab, I don't quite understand what you mean there. I know there's a lot of propaganda about certain things. Let's not get into it now. Take short action. Yeah, that makes sense. Guess that Coke would be considered a trumpet too. I assume Martyn pulled out of that. This is a safe place, says Raymond. Yeah, it was a joke, Sensei. I assume so, Dan, but I mean, it can be taken very wrong. That's why you're all good. Ricardo says BX and ACRR will drive the market down. Alpha says the great people of Iran want change too. They are happy Trump is doing this. When this is all done over, Iran is going to be prosper. They're great people. Same was said about Iraq and what happened. Again, I'm not saying one of the options isn't something great to happen, but I think it's a bit extreme to say there's going to be a war and then everything's going to be hunky-dory and everyone's going to live happily ever after in Iran and they're going to get what they want. Which is what the media and some people think is going to happen. I don't know. I just don't see a wars creating a situation like that. In my opinion, anyway. There are no ethical stocks that are not benefiting from bloodshed. I think there is. I think everything in the world has some sort of blood money attached to it. Just the way the world works. But I think there's 90, 80, 50% of the stock market, which is just businesses that are just providing good services. At the end of the day, look at Frontier PLC, the DJ Haynes. Will Vaz be doing his eVTOL show today? Ampus earnings are due out today. I'm sure Vaz will be doing his eVTOL show today. Anointed Flowers, we can agree to disagree. We're growing here. I hope we will become united again. Yes, yes. I think it's the same with everywhere in the world now. Whether it's the US, UK, everyone's just so divided, but there's so much that brings us together more than divides us. No rate cuts and war will trigger them to sell off Microsoft, Meta, and Nvidia. David Hezzy says, forgive me for my wording, but I think you understand the message. I'm not racist, I just don't like extreme that messes stuff up. Yeah, I don't think anyone likes extremism in any sense. I do find it strange, Sensei, after mentioning The Economist, all of a sudden political divide comment, hench my spelling. I don't know what you mean by that comment. Economist. I find it strange that after I showed you this, The Economist, we've got it here. All of a sudden, political divide comment, hench my spelling. I don't know what you mean. No one likes extreme bad behavior, but it ain't a Muslim trait. Yes, I mean it's literally against the teachings. Same with Christianity. Same with it's against the teachings. Killing is always against all these teachings. So it's not. Yeah, I agree with you, Morningstar. Martyn Maher says, but not in government. Chip Gaming says, I'm not against being extremely rich. I don't think anyone is. Sensei, stop paying attention to the AI political divide bots came in. Let me just get through. Both sides of government have their own religion. Both sides of the government have their own religion. Real Muslims, aka jihad, their words, not mine. Okay, Crypto Jab. I mean, I don't know what you're trying to say. You could throw words all over the place. I mean, I think it was you throwing the word Sharia out earlier, and this is what politics do anyway. They're not educated. They just throw out certain words and they mean nothing. I think someone mentioned in the chat earlier that jihad just means law. So, oh no, not jihad. I think someone mentioned that Sharia just means law. So when you're saying Sharia law, you're just saying law. I think someone mentioned in the chat. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sensei. I will follow your trades. Don't follow my trades. No one should follow my trades. You can see my ideas. Where was the option for not a demo web app? We just wanted to see if I put you in a hard spot. You had to choose one or the other. There's no choices for institutional politics. I
can't believe
this. Oh,
this.
We've got a new member.
At Costa del Crypto has become a member.
Thank you for becoming a member. Let me get through all these comments, then we'll come on to Michael Burry and probably on to Martyn. I'm sure he will be going live soon. And we've got the market open in a second. There's no choices on institutional politics. Should jump straight into Michael Burry. Yes. Coming, but I don't want people to think, oh, I'm just censoring the chat. I'm choosing what I want to read. I don't leave anyone behind, whether we agree, we disagree, or it doesn't really matter. Most of the time, I don't even give my opinion. So I want to read everyone's comments and give my thoughts. Both, if there's a question for me anyway. We don't shy away from anything. We love differences of opinions. If there was no difference of opinions, then we won't be in a free environment. Where were we? Coming from a line of huge intergenerational low socioeconomics, I don't have a problem making blood money. I'm paying off a mortgage, trying to get somewhere. Maybe one day I'll be pick and be moral, says Take Shot Action. Completely acceptable, I would say. And when we're saying blood money, we're talking about just the general stock market, not actual we are committing anything. I'm the same, David. I hate extremists from both sides. That was not made clear from my post. Yeah. Is someone covering Broadcom? No, I'm not. My religion is making money, says This Way Gaming. Bless all peace. RB Fun Times is here. Lovely after RB here. A member for over a year. I love it. I am sure it's not easy to sit there and try to answer and read comments during this time. Thank you for covering. No worries at all, RB. Thank you for joining. People and their silly labels. Raymond Zapta. The only label I want is a millionaire, says Chip Gaming. Chai tea means TT. Exactly, Jerry. I love it. Sharia means law. Yeah. I mean, guys, the world is there's just so much craziness going on, so much propaganda, and so much things being thrown out there, words being thrown out there, making people scared, making people think of certain things. And law gods on earth is Sharia, says Ganma. Morning Sensei, are you making Sensei shirt? Nappies, not bombs. Diesel Raider loves the word nappies. Yes, blood money means separated by many degrees. Okay, let's get into it. So yeah, the world is yeah, it's crazy right now. There's so much divide. I mean, everything that sells is just dividing people, and then everyone catches on and starts using certain words, thinking it means certain things, and then we've got massive divides and people trying to get people to fight each other. And it's, at the end of the day, it all comes down to money and power and control. And most world leaders, that's all they care about: money, power, control. How many world leaders actually care about their people? Not many. And that's why I personally, if you want my opinion, I don't support anyone. I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm not for Keir Starmer, I'm not for Rishi Sunak, I'm not for Nigel Farage, I'm not for Jeremy Corbyn. I think they're just all as bad as each other. And what we need to focus on is just, I think most people just need to find some peace, find some love their neighbor, and focus on themselves and their family, because you're not going to be able to really change these world leaders. And I don't know. There we go. I'm giving some of my opinions today. Let's see. Is everyone going to unsubscribe because I don't support anyone? Let's see. Let's get into Michael Burry's prediction. I'm going to make this into a video. I'm sure Martyn will set up a stream, and as soon as I'm done making the video, I will send to Martyn's stream. But yeah, this is probably going to take me 15-20 minutes. Oh, the market's opening in a second. Oh, see Martyn.
At Marty tipped £2 through Super Chat. Did someone say nappies? Winking face emoji.
I love it. See Martyn. Thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, Wednesday, the 4th of March. Let me run through some headlines, cover the opening bell, and then go into the Michael Burry story. So, if you're wondering what we're coming on to, it's Michael Burry warning that the structural forces sustaining decades of inflation equity valuations are now reversing. The S&P 500 cyclically adjusted price-to-earnings ratio sits at its second highest historical peak, far exceeding long-term medians. This extreme pricing is vulnerable because the primary drivers of the bull market, corporate buybacks and passive retirement inflows, are evaporating. Major tech firms are diverting cash from share repurchases towards massive artificial intelligence infrastructure instead. Oh God. What?
At Martyn Lucas investor tipped $5 through Super Chat. Nappies are a pile of shit lol.
Thank you, Martyn. Was not expecting that. Yeah, we'll come on to Michael Burry's story right after the bell. So, major tech firms are diverting cash from share repurchases towards a massive artificial intelligence infrastructure instead. I do want to thank the super chats we've got for nappies. I've got plenty of. I did do an order of nappies, so thank you guys, especially everyone who was there for the Sunday show. That was incredible. Everyone was doing $1 super chats. Some people doing 20, 50. I think we even had $100 super chats for the nappy fund. So we are definitely using the money for other things now. I think we've got enough nappies. But yeah, there's other things within the nursery we're adding to. Only a month to go. It's a little bit scary now. Curious, since you are from Iran, are people there oppressed by their government? We are told we're helping the Iranians by intervening, says Michael. Unfortunately, it's hard to discuss this topic because you never know who's watching. Let's put it that way. So there we go. I can't answer that question. Martyn, are you saying nappies equals dump? Oh, here we go. Another one from C. Martyn.
At Marty tipped £2 through Super Chat. Martyn, are you saying nappies equals dump?
Thank you, C. Martyn. Another super chat. Stating your views cleans your audience, quality audience, letting the outcome play out. You, a big audience, quality audience. Yeah, but we love everyone. I genuinely love it. Whether someone's Democrat or Republican, as long as no one's extreme to any extent, we've got another super chat here.
At Anointed Flowers tipped $1.99 through Super Chat. We love you, Sensei, and shalom, everyone.
Thank you. We're getting some very lovely super chats. Martyn, are you saying nappies equal dump? Martyn with his super chat. I don't even think I can read Martyn's super chat. I don't even know if I'm allowed to read Martyn's super chat. There it is. Nappies are a pile of... I don't know what's going on in the chat today. The bell's just gone as well. What I was saying was, someone asked about opinions. I welcome everyone's opinion. I think it's great to have everyone's opinion. I don't want to be in an echo chamber just hearing my opinion over and over again, because that's the audience I've built. I love hearing everyone's opinion. And at the end of the day, we're all about the stock market. Let me go over to the markets. They've just opened. But yeah, I mean, yes, I think media makes everything a bit more extreme. They'll make it seem like there's hangings in Iran every day. There isn't. They'll make it seem like if you don't wear a headscarf, you're going to get executed. You don't. If you go and watch, I mean, there's like videos that I sometimes like to watch, because obviously I haven't been back to Iran in a while, and I like to see what's going on in Iran. There's like walkthroughs of the town and the cities in Tehran, and you go to like the beautiful bakeries and the restaurants, and you walk through the shopping malls. It's like a normal country. You've got people that don't wear their headscarves, so they just put it around their shoulders. You've got people just having a laugh and having coffee and tea. It's just a world like any other. But sometimes the media makes Iran just look like what Gaza looks like now, or what a I don't know, a third world country that's just has no infrastructure, or the people are crazy extremists just blowing everything up all the time. It's a normal country at the end of the day. There are certain laws that people don't agree with. There's a certain divide in the country. There's certain things people don't like. But it's not, I guess, what maybe some Western medias make it seem to be. Anyway, that was someone's question, and I'm happy to answer that. How come Martyn Super Chat can say the word SIHT? I don't know these weird. Can no one else say it? Someone else try. Someone try to do $100 super chat and see if you can say the S word. Nappies equals Nvidia. Buy more Google. Live next. I think we've got Martyn's link already. I don't think I can be able to do the Michael Burry story. I think we've talked about the war too much. Oh no, Martyn's starting at 3. Okay, we've got some time. Hood on 81. Yeah, we've got Martyn starting half an hour, so we can do the Michael Burry story. Hood on $81. Love it. We're moving. I'm answering the questions. Yeah, Bitcoin is moving up now. Do you mean nappies are dump, or is it fertilizer? Nappies are full of SIHT. There are no nappies in Iran, says take short action. That's a ridiculous comment. Golden Pocket, Steve-O, Bitcoin exploding. I've seen a visitor of America to Afghanistan, and he said it was lovely, nice, welcoming people. Well, Iran is on a different level to Afghanistan. Afghanistan is certainly a less inhabitable, you could say is the word, country than Iran. I mean, there is certainly a big difference between somewhere like Afghanistan and Iran. Is Pinterest a good buy? Final thought. Are you Muslim, Sensei? Come on, mate. Tell us, says Crypto Jab. I'm sorry, Sensei. I can't comment some things that shouldn't be out there, but what's the benefit in knowing something's important and not sharing it? What's the benefit in knowing something's important and not sharing it? What do you mean? What do you mean? What's the benefit in knowing something important and not sharing it? What do you mean? Christian, Max's nappy code word for dump. The last big pump before the drop. Another little bounce. British people say Marin. LMAO. Okay, I think we've got through all the comments. So, Michael Burry prediction. Right now, the market has just opened. So, a quick look at the market. Market's up today. The S&P 500 up 0.5%. FTSE up 0.5%. Gold up 1.8%. Silver had a bounce. We bought this at its lows yesterday. XRP up 4.6%. Oh, here we go. Here's the pump. Bitcoin up 6%. Bitcoin breaking a major structure here, looking at 74,000 next, and then potentially move up to 90,000. If you want to see more, I think I did a Bitcoin chart today in the newsletter. Go and check out the chart of the day in today's newsletter. If you haven't got the newsletter yet, you can get it every single day. We do have a free trial, and there it is. And there is a free plan where you can get most of the stories. I'm just saying perspectives are different when you visit a country, says Jerry. Yeah, Jerry. Yeah, I agree. Knowing something is important, not sharing it gives you... Knowing something is important, not sharing it gives you power, says Take Short Action. Marsha is back from reading the newsletter, and we've got a super chat coming in.
At Diesel_Ada tipped $1.99 through Super Chat. Shit. Lucas AIDS for life. Nappies. Fafo.
I guess it works. Martyn, what have you done? You've taught everyone how to send swear words and super chats. This can end badly. Let's get on to today's top story, which I want to cover, and it's Michael Burry. We'll make it into a video as well. So what I'm going to do is go over here, references, and make this into a video. Michael Burry's prediction. Well, we're coming on to it now. I spoke to him yesterday. Michael Burry just laid his groundwork. I've just spoken to Michael Burry inside our newsletter publication called, we use Substack, me and Michael Burry both. And I've been talking to him about his latest post and his thoughts on the crisis and also his bearish outlook on the market. So I've got his full analysis. He did 21 pages of research with his team. We're breaking that down for you, giving my own opinion, plus the private conversation I had with Michael Burry. So let's get straight into that story. It is, again, from our very own newsletter in our deep dive section. Go and check it out. First link in the description. You can get these newsletters every day, plus my portfolio challenge, plus the different apps we have on net worth tracking and chart training, all of that in the first link of the description. There's also a free plan as well. But today's deep dive focuses on Michael Burry, Warren Buffett, money on the side, why they think the market's overvalued, and what they're doing. So yesterday, Michael Burry published a 26-page newsletter titled Foundations, US Market Structure and Value. For the first time since rebranding to Cassandra Unchained, he has turned his attention away from individual companies and towards the market itself. He described what his findings... He describes what he finds as looking shocking, unreal, and not possible. That's what his descriptions were in the newsletter. Remember, he has closed down his hedge fund, and that's why it means he can share his ideas now in newsletter format on the same publication I use. Burry is not known for hedging, but this piece is not a position disclosure. There are no new short positions, no option breakdowns, and no portfolio reveal. What he has published is intellectual case, a structured, data-heavy argument for why the market is coiled spring sighting, is a coiled spring sitting on historically extreme valuations. So we are sat at very historically extreme valuations in many different metrics, also held up by structural forces that are now beginning to reverse. So he is citing that currently things are going to change. Read alongside his track record, the pattern is familiar. Before the 2008 trade became famous, remember the Big Short, we all know Michael Burry from that, he spent years building the intellectual case publicly while assembling his position quietly. This piece reads the same way, laying the groundwork before the next move becomes obvious. So, is he doing the same as what he did in 2008? Well, many people didn't understand what he was saying in 2008. Many people said his thesis hasn't come to play for years now, or a year and 5 months. They didn't believe in him, and he was just doing the intellectual piece. It does seem like the same thing's going on here. There is one line in the newsletter that gives away where he stands. When noting that Warren Buffett is sitting on $370 billion in cash, and also GameStop's chief executive Ryan has parked his company's treasury, company's treasury rather than deploying it. Burry adds, and this is a direct quote, "It is indeed what I'm doing now." So what we're seeing is Warren Buffett sitting on cash, company CEOs sitting on cash, and Burry actually said It is indeed what I'm doing now. And that's not too dissimilar to where my portfolio is. I am sat in some defensive growth positions because you always want to be invested in the market, in my opinion, but I'm also ready for opportunity. And the risk with that is maybe the opportunity never comes. But if the data is in front of us, I like to act on the data. So I am sort of sat where Warren Buffett is and where company CEOs are and where Michael Burry is. I'm waiting for opportunity while still being invested in certain companies. He does not spell it out further. He does not need to. The man that made the most famous bets in the financial history is telling you that he's on the sidelines, doing the same math as Buffett and waiting. In a direct message exchange with me on the 3rd of March, the same day the newsletter published dropped, Burry added detail that he does not appear in the published piece. When I asked him whether he, and this is me directly talking to Michael Burry, when I asked him whether he had concerns about stagflation or recession, he replied, I have been tipping on deflationary risk lately, but do not have it figured out. That is a notable clarification. Let me highlight his direct reply there so you can see it. This is a notable clarification. His newsletter focuses on structural fragility and the reversal of forces that inflated valuations. His private framing suggests he thinks the crash, if it comes, will play out as a deflationary event. That's essentially saying assets will fall in price. The credit deflationary side causing the recession. Anyway, Michael Burry, this is why I sent to Michael Burry. Do you have any fears about stagflation or recession? His reply was, I have been tipping to deflation risk lately, but do not have it figured out. Here is the valuation problem. If you are enjoying the show so far, I will be telling you my direct thoughts, everything about the overvaluation and the AI bubble. Please do hit the like button. I will put timestamps below as well so you can skip to your favorite section. Just take a second to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and go check out that newsletter in the first link in the description. The valuation problem. The Shiller CAPE ratio, and this is very important, this is how we look at numbers and understand what's going on. The Shiller CAPE ratio is a measure of how expensive the stock market is relative to earnings. Unlike the normal bog standard boring PE, which you can't just use PE by itself. You have to look at it. You can't just say, look at this stock, it's got 100 PE, it's so expensive. You have to look at it in comparison to its peers. And if you say this stock's got a 16 PE and this stock's got a 50 PE, the 16 PE is much better value. It doesn't work like that. You need to look at things within sectors, subsectors, choose the stocks, have a portfolio, and that's what we do with the portfolio challenge. Anyway, unlike the standard price to earnings ratio, it averages earnings over the previous 10 years to smooth out short-term swings, giving a cleaner read on whether stocks are cheap or dear by historic standards. The S&P 500 CAPE currently sits at approximately 39.7. The long-run median since 1871 is 16, so that the median, again, if you know about averages, the median is take away all the different numbers and come to a middle point. You've got 16. Take away all the extreme undervaluations and overvaluations, and the median 16. The all-time high was 44, and that was during the dot-com peak. And the 1929 crash began from 32.6. The financial crisis unfolded from 27. So at these levels, the crash started. Currently, we're at 39.7, and the all-time high is 44 before the dot-com crash. And if you look at this chart here that shows you all the way back to 1980, you can see how high we are right now, approaching the levels since 2000. So this chart is the Shiller CAPE ratio, 1987 to present. The current reading of 39.66 is the second highest reading in 155 years of data, behind only the dot-com peak of 44.2x in April 2000. The long-run median is 16 times. This level matters. The duration matters more. The S&P 500 has been above its long-run average of CAPE for 34 consecutive years. It's been above that average for this long, all the way since 1992. Without the valuation ever snapping back to its historical norm. Mean reversion simply means that what goes on far above average eventually comes back down to it. That's what we mean when we say mean reversion. At some point, you come back down to the average. Who knows when, but at some point you do. It has happened after every prior extended period of expensive valuations without exception. It happens every single time. The previous record for staying above the mean was 10 years, between 1960 and 1970, a streak that preceded a devastating 16-year bear market. The current streak is 3.4 times that record and more than 10 times the historical average of 3.2 years. Burry's point is not that mean reversion is overdue. He's not saying because it's gone on for so long, it has to happen now in some sort of vague psychological sense. It is that 155 years of data, it has always happened. It's not when has it happened, it's gone on for too long. It happens every single time it happens. The current streak stands alone. CAPE ratio at the start of each US major market decline compared to today. So you can see these are all the different crashes. At what point were we at CAPE? And remember, CAPE is that way of measuring a market valuation. So when they start the 1929 crash, we were at 32, 1966, 1988 was 22, 2000 dot-com peak was at 44, 2007 was at 27. March right now where we're sat is 39.7, long run median is 16, and the modern era mean, so that's again the mean, the average, take all the numbers divided by the amount of numbers you have, that's 27.4. So we are expecting to go between maybe 16, more likely to 27, and currently we're sat at 39. So we are expecting a mean reversion. So the downward scenarios that follow are stark. A reversion to modern era average of 27.4 would imply the S&P 500 around 4,700. That's roughly a 32% decline from levels near here. And that's not taking it all the way back down to the median of the whole time of this indicator. This is just taking it to the modern era mean, and that will be 27.4. And that is the number right now. Again, that can go up higher depending on earnings and valuations, but right now 27.4. And at some point, I expect, as does Michael Burry, we come back down to that. And it's not a matter of time, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it comes back down to these a modern era average, or even lower. So let's say it comes down to the first target, which is 27.4 CAPE. That would put the S&P 500 at roughly 4,700, which is 32% down. A reversion to the full historical average, we're looking at the median at 19x, that would put the S&P 500 at 3,300, which is actually a 52% decline from where we are currently. So historical troughs overshoot, where markets bottom well below fair value before recovering, have produced real inflation-adjusted losses of 55% to 74% across prior secular bear market. So if we're looking at this, and this can happen next year, it can happen in 2 years, it can happen in 3 years, it can happen next month. At some point, we will come back to these averages. And one way of looking at it would be a 32% drop if it happened today, and another way of looking at it would be a 52% drop if it happened today, depending on where you think it's going to go. So what a return to historical CAPE averages would mean for the S&P 500 from the current levels. So if we're looking at the modern level, that would be a 32% decrease. If we're looking at the full historic mean, that would be a 52% decrease. If we're looking at the post-1980 trough average, then that would be a 72% decrease. And all historical trough averages, we're looking at 77% decrease. I'm not looking at the last two. I'm looking at either 32% or 52%. But again, that can change depending on when the crash starts. But that's just numbers if it happened today. So why it got here? Burry's explanation on how valuations reach. So how the hell are we at valuations this high, and why does the market not care? Well, Burry's explanation for how valuations reach this level is what separates this newsletter from standard bearish commentary. His argument is not that stocks are expensive. That's not what he's saying. He's not saying stocks are expensive. He's saying the issue is that stocks became expensive through specific structural mechanisms that didn't exist in prior period peaks. And that understanding this mechanism is essential to understanding what unwinds next. The market's different. The mechanics are different. 4 forces drove inflation. Inflation brought us here. So 4 forces drove inflation. The first was passive investing through the 401k. When the IRS ruling in 9830 in 1988 and the Pension Protections Act in 2006 made index funds the legal default for workplace retirement contributions, it created a mechanical, recurring flow of money into stock markets from every payroll cycle with no regard whether stocks were cheap or expensive. DCAing, basically, dollar cost averaging, entered the market through every single person's pension retirement scheme, and the default was low index funds. So there was just money every single day propping up the market. Is that a good thing, bad thing? That's not the point. The point is the dynamics are different, and that's what's causing the markets to go up all the time. Passive investments grew from 6% of equity. So this is passive investments. You don't even know about it. It's happening in your money behind the scenes. That was 6% in 1996. Now it's 60% in 2024. The total pool now exceeds 32 trillion of just passive investing, retirement accounts, low cost. That's just money hitting the markets every day. The dynamics are different. The second force was corporate buyback. So this is why the valuations are so extreme right now. And then you might say, well, if this is going to happen, this is always going to happen. Actually, the dynamics change, and Michael Burry's assessment is very, very interesting. So why are valuations so high? Number one, passive investing grew from 6% to 60% in 20 years, 25 years. Money's just constantly buying the market. Number two, corporate buybacks. This is something that didn't used to exist. When large companies buy back their own shares, it reduces the number of shares outstanding, which pushes earnings per share higher, and it supports stock price. Buybacks grew from 140 billion annually in 2000. 140 billion. You might have thought that's a big number. Well, look at it today, $1 trillion in 2022, and it's higher now. $1 trillion in 2022, concentrated in the biggest companies. Because index funds weigh stocks by size. Rising share prices at the top of the market pulled even more index money into those same stocks, creating a self-reinforcing loop. So now we know the Mag 7 is, 25% of the stock of the S&P 500. These big stocks, as they grow in value, they become a bigger part of the S&P 500. That means more money flows into them from passive investing, which means more of these buybacks happen and concentrated on those bigger stocks. Another reason why valuations are at where they are now, because all of this money flowing in allows these buybacks, and the buybacks have increased, especially in the major stocks. The third force, and then it's just a loop, because those stocks become bigger, a larger part of these indexes, more money flows in, more money for buybacks. It's just a recurring loop. And the third force is the baby boomer demographics. You have to look at the demographics. So number one, let me tell you again, why are we at these valuations? Passive investing, retirement accounts just buying, corporate buybacks. Number three is baby boomer demographics. For 3 decades, the largest generation in American history was the largest generation in America's history was in its peak earnings years. Steady routing money into retirement accounts, and those accounts into equities. The fourth was government backstop. So again, what we're talking about, the baby demographics, if we just go back to the last point, is essentially it was the largest amount of earnings going into equities, the baby boomer demographic. So money was flowing into earnings, into retirement accounts. And when we come on to the later piece in a second, that money from retirement accounts is actually going to exit, and that's where the issue comes in. But we were in this demographic for 30 years, baby boomers, lots of people being born, lots of people taking up jobs, lots of people going out working, and the money was going into the equity market. That was causing these extreme valuations as well. Number four, the government intervening. In 2009 and 2020, unprecedented policy intervention, zero interest rates, quantitative easing, and trillions in stimulus cuts, bear market short. So these stimulus cuts, these government intervening, the money printer going brrr, is what caused markets to cut bear market short before valuations could fully reset to their historical averages. Each intervention left the market more expensive than it would have been if it was left to run its full course. If you talk about capitalism, you let the losers lose, you let the winners win. The government couldn't allow that to happen, and that cut the bear market short. So that's where we are. That's the 4 reasons, and I fully agree with Michael Burry, and I think it's great analysis here. Those are the 4 reasons the market's just crazy valuations. But None of this, but Burry argues, none of this Burry argues existed in 2000. So none of these four things were really existent in 2000. None of it existed in 1929. The 34-year streaks means the mean above the mean is not a mystery. It has a cause. This is why we're not at those average numbers for valuations. But here's the issue. So we know what's going on. We know why we have high valuations, but this is where the issue comes in, because why are those forces are reversing? The buyback pillar is collapsing. So one of those four things is the buyback pillar. It's collapsing. The five major tech giants, Amazon, Alphabet, Microsoft, Meta, Oracle, guided a combined capital expenditure of roughly 600 to 690 billion for 2026. That's how much they want to spend. That's 36% increase. Capital expenditure is the money spent on physical infrastructure, servers, data centers, chips. UBS estimates that spending will consume nearly 100% of the group's operating cash flow this year, compared to the 10-year average about 40%. So it looks like there 100% of the operating cash flow from these big companies is going to be spent on physical infrastructure. That's compared to 10%, the 10-year average, which was 40%. So in simple terms, almost every single dollar that these companies are earning is being redirected into building AI infrastructure. You might say that's great, they're investing in their future, but wait a second. Amazon alone, the issue will become very clear in a second. Amazon alone is expected to spend 200 billion and likely finish a year with less cash than it started with. So these companies are spending a lot of money, all their money, or even more money than they have. Evercorp has warned that the group as a whole is approaching a point where it can go cash flow negative in aggregate. So companies might actually be cash flow negative, these major companies. And why is that an issue? We'll come on to it. The issue basically is, if I want to jump ahead, is wait, if they're spending all their money on infrastructure, they're not going to be able to buy back. They're not going to be doing any buybacks because they don't have any money for it. And if there's no buybacks, that's one of the core pillars of why we're so overvalued. Gone. In Q4, a combined buybacks of Amazon, Alphabet, Microsoft, Meta, and Oracle came to 12.4 billion, down 74% year over year in the same group. So the buybacks of these big stocks, and this was one of the reasons the stock market just kept going up to crazy valuations, and that's where it's at now. They came down to 12.6%. That's down 74% year over year. A 74% decrease in one of the reasons the companies were going parabolic. The cash that once flowed back to the shareholders and supported index prices is now flowing into data centers. Burry quotes Meta's chief financial officer from February of 2026 earnings call. This is from the earnings call just last month by Meta. The highest priority is investing our resources to position ourselves in a leader in AI. That's directly from Meta. He notes that it is not clear when or whether the buyback bids return at anything like its prior scale. Are we ever going to have buybacks like we've seen before? Maybe not, because the money is getting invested now. So that's that one thesis. The next one, the passive investor pillar faces a different, slower moving headwind. The baby boomer generation powered 3 decades of net inflows into the retirement system. The boom meant the mean boomer is 71 years old today. The mean boomer, so the average age of a boomer is 71 years old today. Let me highlight that for you. Once a retirement account holder returns to 73, the IRS requires them to start withdrawing a minimum amount each year, regardless of whether they want to or not. The IRS says once you hit 73, you have to start taking money out the stock market or out your retirement account, which is invest in the stock market. Today, they're 71. In 2 years' time, they'll be at the age they have to take money out the stock market, whether they like it or not, whether they need the money or they don't. These are called required minimum distributions, or RMDs. The withdrawals are currently running at around 250 billion a year. That's how much is coming out each year, essentially out of the stock market, if you want to look at it that way. By 2028, which is in a few years' time, for the first time in over 3 decades history of the 401k system, those mandatory withdrawals are projected to exceed new flows coming in. So because of the baby boomer industry, because of the age of these baby boomers, we are actually projecting in 2028 that the amount of money exiting the whole retirement account space is going to be more than the money coming into the retirement account space. So in other words, the system tips from being a net buyer of stocks into a net seller. The system, the retirement system, if you just take away the people, the amount of money going into the retirement accounts, which is essentially going to the stock market, for the first time ever, more money's going to be coming out, more shares are going to be sold of the stock market than being bought. So the pool subject to these forces, the pool subject to these forced withdrawals exceeds $32 trillion. People over 70 own over 30% of all stocks directly and indirectly. Burry projects the peak pressure arriving in the early to mid 2030s at over 1 trillion per year in forced selling. What took 3 decades to build, what took 30 years to build, will spend the next 10 years being mechanically dismantled, also no regard for price. So you can see we've got a table here. The amount of contributions of 2024, you can see the net flow is 200 billion. In 2025, the net flow is 160 billion in. In 2026, the net flow is 105 billion in. In 2027, it's 40 billion in. And then in 2028, for the first time in history, it's 15 billion out. 2030 is 170 billion out. In 2023, it's 500 billion out. These are based on IRS estimates, by the way. So why the next crash could be worse? Burry would argue that even a gradual compression from these levels would be dangerous in the current market structure because the market has simultaneously become more fragile than any prior peak. Passive money creates phantom liquidity. It sits still until it does not. When panic selling eventually arrives, the enormous base of passive holders, the DCA people, have no built-in sell discipline or price floor. They simply hold until enough of them do not. High-frequency trading firms now account for about 60% of all trades and have replaced the old specialized system. Specialists were human market makers who were obligated to step in and buy when everyone else was selling, acting as a shock absorber. High-frequency traders have no such obligation. They are stepping away during stress events, removing liquidity precisely when it's is most needed and amplifying the move downwards. Multi-strategy hedge funds, known as pod shops, now manage roughly 1 trillion in assets. Each individual portfolio within these structures operates under tight automatic stop loss rules. A loss of around 5% triggers an immediate withdrawal of their capital. Under normal conditions, these funds behave independently of each other. During a market shock, they all hit their stop losses at roughly the same time, producing a coordinated wave of forced selling across the whole system simultaneously. The April 2025 Liberation Day shock illustrated this in real time. A 2-day S&P 500 decline of 12% wiped nearly 6.6 trillion in market cap. The defining feature was not the size, but the nature of the move. US equities, treasury bonds, and the dollar all fell together. Normally, when stocks fall sharply, investors move their money into bonds, a safe haven, which cushions the overall damage. That did not happen. Everything fell at once. A 2026 International Monetary Fund study confirmed this is not a one-off. The reliable cushion that bonds once provided against equity sell-offs broke down structurally around 2020 and has not returned. Liberation Day produced the highest absolute dollar destruction of any acute crash in history, despite stock ownership being far more widespread than in 1929. Burry's conclusion from this is direct. Crashes are becoming more correlated, more violent, and more consequential per household, and the structural conditions driving that trend have not changed. We are currently seeing a 24% chance of a recession this year. The punchline, and this is when we come to the end, make sure you have hit the like button and you have subscribed before this ends. Make sure you do check out the newsletter because we have all these perks and benefits every single day in the newsletter, the daily newsletter, the 5 things you need to know, the deep dives, the macro conditions, the charts of the day, the technical analysis. You get the ad-free experience. We get no sponsorship, no corporate sponsors, no ads. You get the portfolio net worth tracker, you get the one-on-one DM access to me, you get the private community, you get the £5,000 portfolio challenge with all the research that comes along with it. A lot you get in the newsletter. Check out, there's a 25% off link, there's a 7-day free trial, there's also a free plan. Definitely worth getting the free plan as well. So Burry ends with a point that is not easy to overlook. The catalyst for the next downturn, he argues, may not be much of anything. There is no specific trigger required. The market might just roll over because the narratives run out of oxygen, because AI revenue story disappoints, or because the free cash flow math becomes impossible to ignore, or simply because it is time. The way it was in March of 2000, with no single precipitating event. What makes that particularly dangerous is the current structure. There is no value anchor to the slow fall. In previous eras, a sharp falling stock price would eventually become cheap enough on fundamental basis to attract buyers back in. Today, with 60% of the market indexed and making no valuation judgment at all, that nature break is much weaker than it used to be. Previously, if there was a big market correction, you'd look at the numbers and go, wow, this is at value. But right now, we're just being propped up because everyone's buying. Burry's version of this story may be early. His calls may have some. His calls have sometimes been, and if you listen to Michael Burry a few years ago, you'll just continuously be out the market and not benefiting. A policy backstop or AI revenues that outpace the capex being deployed could extend the streak further. We could continue to go higher. This isn't a tomorrow story, but the mechanics he describes are real, independently documented by infrastructures from the IMF to Evercore, and quietly building pressure. He has done the math. He is saying he is sitting on cash. When I asked him in the same exchange about oil prices and inflation risks, he equally measured. Seems short-term volatility, but if I was long 1 year on oil, 1 year out, I would sell into it. That is the same logic being applied to the broader market. Short-term noise, structural headwinds. He is not panicking. He is not positioning. The coil spring metaphor is apt. Nobody can say when it releases or how far it travels. What has changed is that one of the most consequential contrarian investors alive has decided it is time to say so publicly. And again, you've got some messages when I asked him about recession and inflation concerns. So go check out the newsletter. That's the thoughts. I will continue to give my thoughts every single day when we go live. And we do all our reports. So make sure you subscribe. I do go live every day before the opening bell. So that's what Michael Burry's saying. Do I agree with him? I do. I think this is a major thing at play. I would throw in the debt issue with the United States and how much the debt to GDP issues are. I think at some point we're going to get a market correction like we haven't seen in a long time. I think we are going to get multi-year bear markets and extreme drops potentially in the next few years. I think in the meantime, we can have recessions, a few fears. I don't think it's ever going to be as bad as what people say. I do think it's always great. I mean, if you're not looking to retire in the next 5 years, then it's probably a good thing. It's definitely a good thing because you can just buy more. It's more concerning for people that want to retire, which again, if you're retiring soon, then speak to your financial advisor. They might recommend you sit in something a bit safer like bonds, and things that will give you a return, but not take the risk of the volatility of the stock market. Whenever you invest in the stock market, look 15 years in the future. I have lots of thoughts about crypto, where I think that's going, where we're going to bottom. I've got lots of thoughts about stocks. I've got lots of thoughts about what I'm buying in the stock market, because I am defensively AI positioned right now, which means I'm defensive in the market, but also there for the upside. Go check out the newsletter. The £5,000 portfolio challenge is there, and also tune in every day because I'll give you more information. The newsletter link will be up here. There'll be 2 videos for you to watch up there as well. But as always, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye. Okay, that's going to come out as a video. Martyn is going live any second now. I'm going to end this show and send to Martyn now. Let me go and have a look at the chat. Remember, we have deep dives like this every day. We only cover a few of these deep dives a week because it's for our premium members. The chart of the days for the premium members, the portfolio challenges for our premium members, the private chats for our premium members. The app that I'm going to do a video on today is for premium members. Let's have a quick look at the market. I assume the market's up today. Yeah, 0.5% on the S&P 500. Bitcoin setting off slightly, but still up 5%. A big breakout on Bitcoin. I think we've got a story on that in the newsletter. Quite a few important stories in the newsletter. Go check it out. Also, let me have a look at a few of your questions. I see Martyn is going live in a few minutes' time. Coca-Cola is diving, says Rallo. What does Burry say about crypto and XRP? I don't think Michael Burry is too interested in the crypto markets. Also, I hate war. I was sent to Bonsai during a war as a peacekeeper. I am an investor, and this is like the 2008 crash. Net shorting made me 76k profit in 2 days. Congratulations. What are the odds that this can be explained by the average person being able to invest with apps like Stake? I feel like there's more investors per capita. Those are the main four things. The main four things are baby boomers, how much money they're putting into the market, passive investors, buybacks. What was the last one? And one more. It's not really about how many people can invest today, because the people that are investing today just have people can trade easier today. People can move money around quicker today, which will just add a bit more volatility. What's important is the main market, which is just people going out, earning money, and automatically being invested in the market, rather than how many people can invest on their phone. That applies more to like what that has an effect on is more meme stocks or more retail focused stocks, which is crypto. That will make that more volatile and potentially have bigger gains. And stocks like Hood and I don't know, Palantir and the ones that attract the masses, Tesla. The fact that people have access to stock market, that what it does, it doesn't really add to the S&P 500 too much. It will add to the volatility of meme stocks, crypto, and add to maybe their gains. Very, it's on ChatGPT or Grok. Doesn't matter which AI you use to calculate the same. Also, could another contributor be developing nations have cash, have developed so much to a point where they can spend too? Yeah. We are with you, Sensei says. Juan, thank you very much. Amazon up 2.75%. Brilliant. 11112. This is all I've been saying songs for space. Well, you've been saying what Michael Burry's saying. I love it. Songs for space. Agenda 2030, where my boomer's out, says Weird Ghetto. 60% of my city is elderly. It will be a ghost town, says Songs for Space. New Depression 20. I've been talking too long. I've lost my breath. What's going on? New Depression 2030. Prepare accordingly. A bit correction coming. Everything USA has ever known dies with the boomers. Thanks, Sensei. Great newsletter. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you. I know you went away to read the newsletter and come back. That's incredible. Thanks for that. Sensei, I think we're expecting a new utopia over the next 6 months. Atlanta is coming. Good day, everyone. Going to have to watch the stream. Only just got here. Bitcoin's great. Yes, you can always go back. Please note some words I use are mentioned spec. Need to look into your channel. It will go. Please note some words I used are mentioned spec. I don't know what you mean, Row Pro. We're not worried about that. Oh, I don't know what you're actually saying, to be honest. In boomer fashion, the lander will get pulled up so no one can climb like everything else. Crypto popping today. Wow. Yes, it is. It can go much higher. If Bitcoin breaks 74,000, as I've said for a while, we can have pumps just to dump. We can have a pump all the way up to 90,000, even 100,000 for it to just be a lower high. I'm looking at 74,000 if that breaks. Potentially 86,000. 86,000, 89,000 would be the next level where it could roll over. Hood plus 8.9% at the moment. Thank you, it's Tony. Congratulations to you. Sensei, what's your opinion on data centers? I'm looking at New Scale Power Corporation, SMR. They make small modular power stations. Oh, nuclear power. Wait, what's on your data center? Are you talking about data centers or nuclear power? I'm looking at New Scale Power Corporation. They make small modular power stations, which will be needed for data centers and how they'll be a main player. Yeah, I mean, I think those companies are great. Again, I don't know, they might be overvalued, and I don't know what the best one is, but I think AI is here to stay for sure. And those are a great way of getting AI exposure, the people that build it and things that need it. So I don't know anything about the stock, which is probably the most important part, and I don't know about its peers and its if you send me a message on the newsletter and you're a premium member, we can probably do a newsletter on it. Wouldn't that still add the human centipede of stocks? Wouldn't what? Take short action. Anyway, we're about to end today's show. Let me go over here. Let me make sure this is Martyn's going to be live any second now. Well, he's going to be live now, I think. Is he live now? Yeah, Martyn's live now. So I'm going to send everyone over to Martyn now. So let me send and yeah, we're going straight to Martyn. I'm keeping an eye on. He will start his countdown any second. Yeah, Bitcoin's Craig. Send me a message if you're a premium member, and then we can have a look at it on the newsletter. We can probably add it maybe to portfolio challenge. Good. Gold up, silver up, XRP up, Bitcoin up, Ethereum up, stock market up, oil down just slightly. Let's keep an eye on everything. I'll be back with more news. Ceasefire odds are now looking, still between March and April for the war. A potential Iran attack on Turkey, which would escalate things, but that's not been fully confirmed yet. I'm going to end today's show. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the extra coverage, and thanks for bearing with me at the beginning. Let me go back to sorting out the washing machine. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check at the beginning of the video. The randoms investing into Tesla and stuff. Oh, wouldn't that add to the human sensibility of stocks? It would add, but that money would probably long term, because most of these people are going to lose their money. That money would probably long term pop up the stock market more if they were just putting it in the S&P 500, for example. So what it does, it's not a Martyn's live. So it's not just a thing where it God, let me turn that. Where is that coming from? So in my opinion, it's not a major addition to how much the stock market's going up. I think it adds to volatility because it's not a lot of money, and a lot of that money is in and out. So it will affect those stocks more than the other stocks. So yes, it will bring it up, but that money would be flowing in anyway to some extent. So it's not the biggest factor. When you compare the numbers of retail traders having more access to the stock market, it just adds volatility and a little bit of money. When you compare it to the other four factors that are pushing the markets up to these historic valuations, these numbers are small. Anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time, stay where you are. Martyn's live. His link is there. Check out the newsletter before you go. You can see all the stories from today and get access to everything there. It's in the live chat. Take care of yourselves and each other. I always enjoy doing these shows. And what was great today is everyone came together. We saw the differences of opinions, but everyone was respectful. Everyone came together. Until next time, go check out Martyn. Go check out the newsletter. Take care of yourselves and each other.